Hi, welcome to Brunch with Brian, your home investing live stream. So today I want to talk about what you should know and what you should know by memory. And I'm going to talk a little bit about memory and what, as an investor, a home investor, should you just automatically know like that. It should be on the tip of your tongue at any given moment, and you should always know these next steps. I'm going to give you, anytime you put things, now a good mnemonic device is a list. And so I want you guys to use lists. I use lists all the time. I use checklists all the time. Now there's a difference between a checklist and a list I'm using to memorize information, important information, like steps. So there's a step-by-step checklist sometimes that you'll use. You remember when I talked yesterday, it was Boy Scout Day, and I said a scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. And that's the 12 things that a scout is. And so I just remember that because I heard it so many times, and that's how you're going to learn real estate investing. You're going to listen to the audios and the videos of us doing calls over and over. And through osmosis, believe it or not, you learn a lot where I can recite video clips that I've watched many times, by verbatim, just because I've watched that clip so many times. And so that's what we want you to do, is just watch the video clips. That's so great about the training, is everything we do is on video. All these things are on video you can watch over and over, or audio that you can listen to over and over while you're doing chores or whatever. And you can it gets to be second nature. Crucial things I want you to remember as a real estate investor are the 3 steps of every deal, of every creative financing deal. Now, these are often the same 3 steps for every deal. And I'm going to put one little caveat that sort of a first step is there's always setting up your business and marketing. So there's always those 2 things that you kind of got to do. And maybe your business isn't totally set up. Even if you've been around for a couple of years, your business probably isn't totally set up. You probably didn't sign up for every social media platform. Maybe your website needs a little help, or different things like that. So getting the business set up and marketing are always sort of the first 2 things, but then every deal is going to go along this path, which is opening call, closing call, and a deal meeting. So that should be something where I say, what are the 3 steps of every deal? You should just automatically know that one: opening call, closing call, deal meeting. And obviously we have very detailed scripts for each step along the way. Some of these steps can be done automated digitally. Sometimes you can get people to message you and send forms in and fill out forms where you get some basic information, where it's sort of like that opening call sort of got done. And so then you only have to call them when it's time for the closing call, and working out the 4 pretty house deal points. Pretty much, that's another list you should know. Now that's another one, 4 pretty house deal points. You should always know that. The 3 steps of every deal: opening call, closing call, deal meeting. The 4 things you have to work out on every deal, the 4 pretty house deal points. Now, if you're just buying a house from an REO house from the bank for cash, there's 1 deal point, and it's purchase price. But any other creative financing deal, which is what we like, there's 4 deal points, and that's actually starts with purchase price, but then it's monthly payment, length of term, and down payment. There's 3 more things you need to work out. Now that should be another thing that's just second nature to you. If I walked up to you on the street and said, what's the 4 pretty house deal points, or 4 creative financing deal points, you should be able to rip them off. And that's purchase price, monthly payment, length of term, and down payment. Now, if you're doing a sandwich lease purchase, that 4th one, down payment, would actually be an option deposit if you want to get real technical. Okay, so now the list that I was going to hit you with right now, that I want you to think about and try to remember so that it's just second nature to you, is the steps of each of those 3 important. I'm giving you a really bunch of content in a big, huge bite here. So make sure you take notes on this. So what are the goals of the closing call, or the opening call? Or you can say goals or steps of the opening call. So the first one is establish credibility. You know what? I'm not going to explain these because we're going to do this on our Teaching Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, so it's Teaching Tuesdays. I'm going to go more in depth on memory. I'm going to give you some mnemonic devices, ways to remember things. and I'm going to give you everything I think you should know second nature. I'm squishing some in here for Brunch with Brian, but come back for Teaching Tuesday today, where I can talk at length more about these. But for just quick annotating your ledger, getting the right notes in front of you, the opening call steps are: number 1, establish credibility; number 2, building rapport. Now remember, I can talk a lot about all these, and I'm not going to. I'm forcing myself not to. And number 3, gather information. Hopefully, after the opening call is done, that whole sheet is filled out, mortgage information, everything is on there. Okay, so that's gathering information. All right, so now next after the opening call is the closing call. What are the goals or the steps of the closing call? Guess what? The first 2 are the same: establish credibility, build rapport, and then the third one is work out the 4 pretty house deal points. This is where that comes in, so you remember those. Purchase price. Now remember, repetition is how you remember these things. So if you feel like I'm being repetitive, you're right. Okay, so purchase price, monthly payment, length of term, and down payment / option deposit. So that's where you work that out in the closing call. You don't work that stuff out at the house. Sometimes you refine it at the house. You want to know you're kind of in the range, and you got to know that they're willing to give you time. And that's years, not months. If they think, well, I can give you seller financing for 3 months, no, that doesn't work. We really want 2 years. We've done them for a year in a real, if our backs were against the wall, and that's the only way the seller would do it. But really, you want 2 to 5. You want as long as you can get. You want to just keep paying on the mortgage till it's paid off. That's really what you want. All right, so now after that, step 3, that's step 3 of the closing call. Step 4 is answer questions and objections, which you're going to get some, especially if you're talking to a thinker brain. And number 5, set the appointment. That's really the close on the closing call, is setting the appointment, because then you know you got something worthy to go out there. All right, now the steps of what's the next thing in the process. There's opening call, closing call, then what's next? What's next? Deal meeting. So then the deal meeting, the moment of truth and wealth, I call it. So the deal meeting, what are the steps? Guess what? When you go out to their house, or you do this and you see them in person on some kind of a video chat, whatever that is, whichever one you choose, and you're on that video chat, either way, you got to start over, because now all of a sudden they're looking at you, you're looking at them, either at their house or on a video chat. And so it starts over: establish credibility and build rapport. Those 2 are always number 1 and 2 of every single one of these steps. Okay, what's number 3? Tour the house. So you're going to walk around, you're going to look at the house, and write down features and fixes. Whoops, now I'm teaching it. All right, so number 3 is tour the house. Number 4, complete the paperwork. And I'm going to go more in depth on the interior steps of those. Complete paperwork is and now there may be a step in there where you have to resolve any differences. So there may be another step in negotiate any of the 4 deal points that aren't worked out. Okay, then you sign all the paperwork. If there's no negotiating to be done, final negotiation on 4 deal points, I might call it that. So step 4 would be final negotiation on 4 deal points. Okay, and then number 5 or 4, sign the paperwork. Okay, and then the last step is, now this is important, you may not think about this, but get them to turn over the Zillow and Nextdoor listings. That's important, because if you go out there and you want to turn this house around fast and you're chasing them down to get your account set up right, especially the Zillow will kill you. We've actually had to do open houses, big open houses, when we hadn't gotten the Zillow account, and it was all the wrong information in Zillow. So that really will, mess you up. So that's a really important step. So that's the steps, guys. Now, when I talk about memory, like I said, I'm going to talk more about memory. If you just saw the Super Bowl, how much do people have to remember? Each position, they have to remember all the plays. All the offensive people have to remember all the plays and all the numbers and all that stuff. That's why a quarterback like Brady is so good, because he's got that down. He takes the time to memorize all these plays, and he's really good at it. So that's why football isn't just all brute strength. There's so much brain power, and that's the same thing with real estate investing. It's mostly brain power and hopefully very little brute strength is involved. If you're out there lifting toilets and carrying them around, that's probably not what you should be doing. I'd rather have you spending your time doing creative financing, pretty house deals. All right, so that was awesome. We're going to see you guys later today, and I'm going to go more in depth on the points and everything I think that you should just know by heart. and really take the time to remember and memorize and hear over and over again. So that's going to be important, because this is basically your mental toolkit for success. Something you carry on with you that you don't even need paperwork to remember. All right, so that's really important. So that's what we're going to talk about more today. And I look forward to seeing you at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Time on Teaching Tuesdays today. And always here on Brunch with Brian, every time at 11:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Time, learning great stuff and getting motivated. So we will see you soon, and we'll see you later today on Teaching Tuesday, and tomorrow again back here with me. Until then, keep taking action, keep expecting success, and getting the top training, getting awesome training, and taking lots of action with it.